Okay, so this is quite a vulnerable video to make. It's to do with panic attacks and anxiety attacks. So I studied psychology and mental health, and I worked in the field for a long time, and I knew about panic attacks and anxiety attacks, right? But I never connected the dots that I had experienced them my whole life. It was only last year, at, when I was 28, 29, that I realized and the dots connected that panic attacks and anxiety attacks were a normal part of my life. Like almost a daily occurrence growing up. And the dots connected when I experienced this really full-blown panic attack. I was triggered, I did something, and then after doing something out of that trigger, I went into this spiral where I thought I was going to die. Like, there's this sense, this anxiety just kept building and building and building that I was going to die. And I could see myself leaving my body. I could feel myself leaving my body as well. And it was like I was watching myself on the floor on a beanbag, just in this panic mode. And in my head, like all the energy went up to my head. And I was restless. I became numb. I felt like time was non-existent, and it was this weird freeze mode. But at the same time, adrenaline was coursing through my body. And I remember moving to my bed at one point, and feeling my heart just race like crazy. And I thought to myself, like, oh, this must be what it's like to have a heart attack. Because I felt like my heart was just going to leave my body at any point, because my heart rate was so fast. And like the way my heart was beating in my body, felt like it was just going to rip out of my body anytime. It was fucking scary, to be honest. And I never remember having a panic attack that big, but that was like, wow, okay, I know what a panic attack is now. And I've never up to that point been so present when I was experiencing a panic attack that I could tell that what was happening was a panic attack. But it really felt like I was dying. And that night I couldn't really sleep well. My energy was off. I felt very drained, very tired because of the lack of sleep, and also because my energy was just all over the place. And the next day I was so exhausted. I was burnt out. I was thinking about this panic attack, and what I wanted to share is like I really dissociated from previous experiences of having panic attacks and anxiety attacks, because I saw myself as a really happy person, really joyful, outgoing, chill person, gregarious person, and I didn't see myself as the kind of person who would have panic attacks or anxiety attacks. But in reality, I was having panic attacks and anxiety attacks, mostly anxiety attacks, on a regular. I realized how easy it is to fool yourself and to convince yourself that what you're experiencing can't happen to you, and dissociate from an experience. And I believe that this has something to do with issues around self-worth and self-value. How I tricked myself into thinking, there's no way this could happen to me. I'm such a lovable, outgoing, social, gregarious person, chill person. How would this happen to me? But it was happening to me, and those things can be true at the same time. Having panic attacks, experiencing panic attacks and anxiety attacks doesn't make you any less than as a person, or any less valuable or worthy as a person. And this is where I also began to love myself more unconditionally, and accept my experiences, my past experiences, and that current one that I had in that moment. I also believe that I couldn't accept that panic attacks and anxiety attacks were a regular part of my life, because how sad is that? Like, I felt so sad for my child self, who was scared shitless all the time and just masked her anxieties and fears in order to survive in her social environment, in society, with her family, with herself, and from experience in other aspects of my life, sadness, kids, your inner child can dissociate from experiences and to make a happier picture or a rosier picture when their experience is the opposite, exact opposite, when their experience is sad. Like in this case, my inner child couldn't accept how horrible this experience was, and that this horrible experience was part of her life, this near death almost experiences were part of her life. So because she couldn't accept that and didn't want to accept that as her life, and she wanted to keep this image that her life is this beautiful life, wonderful life, and happy life, she dissociated. Ciao! Yeah. So in order to make me feel like, this is also a survival mechanism, right? To change how you really felt about a situation or an environment, in order to make yourself feel okay, that was okay, and in order to keep living. To deny your truth in order to keep yourself happy enough in order to keep living. That was happening with panic attacks and anxiety attacks that were a normal part of my life. I think my inner child felt that if she were to make me see this, then I wouldn't be able to handle it, and I would shut down. And her way of surviving, keeping us alive, was to create this illusion of a very happy childhood and, adolescence and family home, where panic attacks didn't happen, anxiety didn't happen. I think she thought that it was too much to handle, and also that I wouldn't believe it if she showed me what was really happening. I wouldn't be able to accept it. I think it's pretty tragic to experience so many panic attacks and anxiety attacks, in a place that, you should be able to feel safe. And home to me is a sanctuary, and think it was that contradiction of what was really happening at home for her, like the panic attacks and anxiety attacks, to the point where she's felt so scared and that she was gonna die. That was too much of a contradiction from the peaceful, happy sanctuary of a home. Like what was actually happening and what was her dream. So she made me believe that dream rather than present the reality and accept the reality. And besides this huge panic attack that I experienced, that made me realize, like, oh shit, this is a normal part of my life, which happened in Bali. I recognize like moments when I had panic attacks because something would trigger me and upset me. I didn't know the words trigger really back then, and I wasn't using it. I didn't know my nervous system. I didn't really know myself really at the time, but I had this habit of catastrophizing and thinking that like I was gonna die because something stressful would happen, or like something would stress me. And I now know, thinking back to those times, that I was having a really bad anxiety attack or a panic attack. And in another video, I will share what has worked for me to calm myself down when I do have anxiety attacks and panic attacks. But in this video, I just wanted to share more of my background around this topic, my experiences. It was such a big surprise. And also an insight into how our child selves can work and how they can try to keep us alive in environments that are very, very stressful and chaotic. And yeah, I think this is good for now. So yeah, I'm just gonna put this out there. Let me know in the comments if anything resonates. If you have any comments you want to share. But thank you so much for witnessing my story and being here. I really appreciate this. And yeah, I'll see you guys later.